Hi everyone, this is Ari and Reed. My pronouns are he, him, his. This is my year and a half on tea. It's crazy. It's been a year and a half. Wow. It just seems like the last 6 months just flew right by, which is probably a good thing because not much really changed. For me anyway, my facial hair still hasn't really come in much, as you can see. This is me about a week or so since my last shave, and still not really anything worth noting. There's a little bit of some sideburn stuff going on back here, but that's really it. There's not really much change through here. There has been like some whiskers just trying to come through, but not really anything dark or anything very, very solid. It's just been very fine stuff. I've got a little bit more on my upper lip than I used to. It's kind of coming down here, but it's still not really anything you can really see. So it's a little bit disappointing, and I even feel like the only reason I even have anything is because I've been taking the stuff called Follicade and also using the stuff called minoxidil, both of which are supposed to support hair growth and hair regrowth in cis men who are losing their hair. I know of cis men and trans men who have used minoxidil to induce hair growth on their face in places where their facial hair just never came in for whatever reason, usually genetic reasons. So they've claimed that it really worked for them, and I know people who have facial hair and told me this facial hair is because of minoxidil. But I've been using it twice a day for, a few months now, I would say, and I haven't really seen anything. But I'll keep giving it another few months or so, or maybe even another year or two before I really give up on it. But I do feel like maybe some of what's changed about my facial hair might be due to that. If it weren't for that, maybe nothing would have changed at all. So, who knows? But that's really kind of the only thing that was really new. Nothing else has really changed because of tea, except for maybe my face started to get a little bit more masculine for a while there. At one point, right before I had top surgery, it was looking really masculine, and I was also losing weight because I was having keyhole top surgery, not double incision. Keyhole requires a small breast size, so I got really gaunt face. Wasn't quite the look for me. But shortly after that photo was taken, I had top surgery, and to prepare for top surgery, I had to go off of tea a little bit beforehand, and then I wasn't able to really go back on it as quickly as I wanted to. Normally, I think a week or so after surgery, I would have done my next injection, but I was still just in a lot of pain. I had stuff going on, and I like to inject into my upper glute. I'm one of those people who likes to twist around and stick it up there, and I just couldn't really do that right after the surgery, and with the drainage tubes hanging out and stuff and like being compressed, I just couldn't really reach around and do things like that. So there was a while there where I wasn't on tea, and when I did go back on tea, I ended up going back on it on a lower dose. My endocrinologist and I both felt that I should be on a slightly lower dose. My testosterone was testing pretty high as well, and I prefer to be on the lowest dose I can without having to deal with menstrual cramps too bad or menstruation in general. So I'm currently on a dosage of about 30 every week, which is 0.15 on the syringe. Anyway, that seems to be working out for me pretty well, and the menstrual cramps don't get too bad, and I haven't had any sort of bleeding. So that just seems to be, for me, my own personal best range. Because I am a feminine guy, identify as a gender non-conforming trans man. I like pink and purple, and I'm even wearing a girly necklace because I liked it. I thought it was cute, and so I bought it. I just like, being somewhere between, just something not very masculine. I'm not at the high masculine end of the gender spectrum, so I wanted a hormonal range that kind of reflected that, and I wanted a face and body type that kind of reflects that. So I did back off my hormones a little bit. I got my cheeks back. My cheeks got a little bit rounder again, and I'm looking a little bit more at like how I would prefer myself to look. I think maybe my eyebrows got a touch thicker, got a little bit more hair. So that sums up my tea changes. Sorry, there's not really much to say. I'd like to say I got like super buff in the last 6 months, but I just spent the last 6 weeks or so. It's been 8 weeks since top surgery, but for about 6 weeks, I wasn't able to work out. So I don't feel very at the moment, but maybe in my next video I will. So let's talk about top surgery. So top surgery was something I've been waiting about a year for, I would say, because I asked for it in the fall of 2019, and I was supposed to get it in March, and guess what happened in March? COVID happened, and everything got pushed back indefinitely, and no one said anything, of course, so I had to call and be told, oh, sorry, everything got pushed back, maybe later. And then I kept calling each month that I was supposed to have the top surgery, and they kept telling me, nope, not this month, not this month. We don't even know when, and eventually just got to the point where they were just not even telling me anything. It was very uncertain. I was very uncomfortable with the whole thing and just very disappointed. So at one point, when it had been about a year since I had requested top surgery, I thought this was ridiculous. I don't even have a date or an estimate or anything as to when I'm having top surgery. And the surgeon who's supposed to perform my surgery ended up leaving, and they were like, we have no idea what we're gonna do about this, now we're completely understaffed, and it was just a huge hot mess. And so I reached out to my doctor and my primary care physician and some other people I talked to throughout this process of getting referred to a surgeon. And I reached out to everyone and basically said, I need this surgery. I can't keep going without this surgery. I have scoliosis, and because my disability also has me in pain every day, to then also be compressing my spine with these binding clothing is just compounding my pain, and I just can't live like this any longer. And so they eventually got me worked around to where they found a surgeon, a different surgeon for me, and who was actually much closer to home. They were going to make me do like it would have been about a 4-hour drive, I think, each way to go to where my previous surgeon was, and then they found me actually a surgeon closer, and I don't know why they didn't just refer me to the surgeon from the start when I first asked for surgery, but better late than never, I guess. So they hooked me up with her, and she was just very wonderful. Her name is Dr. Hardiman. She's very wonderful, very informative, seems very professional. Really seemed like she cared about me as a patient of hers, and she got me on her schedule within 6 weeks. It was just bam, done. She did a great job. I did have complications. I'm actually her first patient in 7 years to have these complications. I don't know what happened, but I just kept bleeding. My body just refused to stop bleeding. And so what happened was, a couple days after surgery, I went in and got my chest strap taken off like every other trans guy, so she could take a look at how things are going. And I just had like this giant bulge on one side of my chest, as though I had like a boob like above where my boob normally is. Like my boob was down here. I had like this huge lump up here where basically I was just bleeding and just filling up. And we ended up having to do a hematoma surgery to go in and drain out all that blood and cauterize everything. Sewed me back up again, and it kept bleeding. And then after a while, the drainage tubes were just itching and burning, and like my body was just trying to get those drainage tubes out of my body, and like it felt like they were just rejecting them, and they really needed to come out. It'd been like a week and a half or so that I'd had the drains in, and I just couldn't stand having them in. My body just looked like it was pushing them out. And on one side, I wasn't draining any blood at all, on my good side. Oh wait, this is my good side. On my bad side, it was, I didn't quite have that hematoma bulge anymore, but I had a bulge down here. It was pretty swollen a little bit, and it was still bleeding a lot. We took the drainage tubes out, and it just, because we reached a point where on the good side, they needed to go, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have to drain them on one side for a while, but she ended up taking the drains out of this side as well in the same visit. So what happened was, unfortunately, it didn't just stop bleeding though. This side was totally fine, but this side gradually swelled up until by Thanksgiving, I don't know, like a week or so, maybe a week and a half or so afterward, I had like a full size breast again on this side. While this side was slowly healing up, this side was just getting bigger. And it was really disconcerting to be walking around with basically a breast on one side that was basically just full of blood. Like there was no mammary glands, no flesh. It was just a giant cavern of blood. So if you flicked it, it jiggled. I mean, it was the grossest thing, and it was weird, you know, to walk around with one boob and a flat chest on the other side. It was pretty weird, but not that I was walking around anywhere. I was at home on medical leave, but it was kind of a weird situation to be in, and I just was patient and just kept compressing it and telling myself, I'm gonna get through this. This is just temporary. And it was just temporary. I just had to drink lots of water and compress it, really, really, really compress it. I had to put like this thick foam against my chest and wear this super tight compression stuff over it and just really squish my chest just to basically compress like you would a bleeding wound, you know, when you need to compress a wound that is bleeding. Same kind of thing where we just had to compress it, get it to stop bleeding, and get my body to reabsorb it, basically. And use a lot of heat compresses and to try to keep the blood liquid so my body could reabsorb it, and just wait it out. So it's a really weird complication. Hopefully none of you have that. If you do, it's really not that big of a deal. I thought this was gonna like push my healing back so far. This was gonna ruin things. It's stretching my skin. You know, I thought it was gonna be terrible. I was really kind of freaked out for a little bit in the back of my mind. But as soon as the bleeding stopped and the swelling went down, and if anything, this is actually now my good side. It's been about 8 weeks or so, I would say, since my surgery, and the complication side is actually my good side. This side actually looks better, whereas this side is just, it's a little bit kind of funky looking. It's a little dented. It has some obvious loose skin that needs to go away, but this side looks a lot like a male chest. So it's kind of weird that way, that this is actually healing a little bit better in the long run. But it's also, the nipple has more sensation. The nipple works better, it gets harder, it has more sensation. The good side, that didn't have all the bleeding issues, it was numb for a while. It's still slightly numb at the moment, just slightly. And the nipple doesn't quite work as well. It gets slightly erect, but not as much as this side. It also looks a little bit darker. It's just kind of, it looks a little bit dead, but just a little bit. So, you know, you really never know what's going to happen. And you think at the beginning, like, this is going to be so bad, and then it's really not. It maybe delayed my major healing process in the beginning by a day or two, but in the long run, it hasn't really affected me negatively. And if anything, it might have helped. Maybe having all that blood encouraged more healing on this side. I'm not sure. I don't know the science behind it, but yeah, I'm doing really well. I'm looking really well. I have been really applying a lot of skincare products to my skin. I have a whole skincare video. There's a link at the top where you can find that. And doing that has also really helped. And, you know, just taking my supplements, doing all those skincare things I mentioned in that video has really helped me heal from the surgery, as well as continue to not suffer from acne too badly. So I'm really blessed to have already kind of figured out a good skincare routine to keep my skin healthy, because keeping my skin healthy really helped with the tightening and the healing process of Keyhole. Because with my version of Keyhole, they didn't take any of my skin. They just took what was inside, and it's just been on my body to tighten everything up. And things have actually tightened up much faster than I thought they would. I look much better already than I thought I would in like 4 months or so. So I'm really, really pleased with my results. And, you know, I wish I had more facial hair, but I'll wait it out. I'll be patient. And if I never get facial hair, I'm not going to cry over it. It's really not a huge deal to me, to my dysphoria or anything, to not have facial hair. There's plenty of cis guys who don't have facial hair, and I'm not a big fan of too many facial hairstyles. There's one or two I might try out myself for a bit, but I'm kind of more of a fan of a clean face, so that's also just my personal preference. So that's how I feel about it. But that's all that's really gone on this month. It's been kind of a lonely, awkward month. It's been COVID. It's been just working from home. The weather has just been nasty. It's winter, and it's just been a very different, unexpected winter than I would have predicted a year ago. But everything's going well. So thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned. If you want to see more awesome videos, just make sure you subscribe. But if you have an allergy to awesome videos, then don't press that subscribe button. If you like this video, please like it, and thank you so much. I'll see you all next time.
Hi everyone, my name is Arian. This is my first week on T.
Hi everyone, this is Arian Reed, and this is my 3rd month on T. Hi everyone, this is Arian Reed, and this is my 6 months on T. Hi everyone, this is Arian Reed, and this is my 9 months on T. Hi everyone, my name is Arian Reed, my pronouns are he, him, his, and this was my 1st year on T. Hi everyone, this is Arian Reed, my pronouns are he, him, his. This is my 1.5 years on T.
Not a fake, not a face, not a fetish, not a freak, beautiful, bit unique, natural, authentic. If we can agree there is no one type of female body, then why can we not accept that there is more than one kind of female experience?
There is no acceptable level of discrimination and